So there's a difference between intensity and intimacy in relationships. You know, intensity is like a paper fire. When you light a paper fire, it immediately catches a flame. It immediately starts burning, and it burns bright, and it can burn all over. It can even burn your fingers if you're holding onto the piece of paper. And this is the same as intense relationships. They're full of emotional intensity, physical intensity. There's a lot of emotional unrestraint because it's based on feelings, it's based on emotions, it's based on it doesn't really have a solid foundation, so it can burn all over the place. That's when a lot of people get heartbroken. A lot of people meet people, and after a week, they're in a relationship. I'm sorry to say that's a bad idea, and that doesn't make sense. Because you don't know the person well enough, not a good enough foundation has been formed. And what happens with paper fires? After a few seconds, the fire actually dissipates and it completely dies. Also, paper fire is not constructive. You can't cook, you can't boil water, you can't really do anything constructive or productive with a paper fire. And that's the same with these intense relationships that come out of nowhere and then burn up very quickly. On the other hand, we have intimacy. Now, I think this is a place where you should find yourself, okay, in an intimate zone, in an intimate relationship. Intimate relationships and intimacy is more like a log fire, okay? When you start a fire using wood, using charcoal, using coal, it takes time for the flame to catch, okay? It takes time for things to escalate. But when it eventually does catch, it's a solid fire and you can do a lot of constructive things with it. You can cook, you can boil your water, you can use it for long-term heating. You know, if you light a really good fire, it could actually last a few days. You might not even see the flames anymore, but the remnants of the charcoal that will still be there can last 2 days still burning under the ash. And this is what I encourage you to build intimacy, okay? Intimacy takes time to build, and it takes time to finally show the results. Okay, like I was saying, the fire could start with a spark, and when you put a wood on a spark, you may not see any signs of progress. Eventually, you'll start seeing some smoke, but just because there's smoke doesn't mean you can start cooking. Eventually a flame will come, okay? Then eventually the flame will be big enough to actually start cooking. It's the same things with relationships, guys. It will take time to build it. It will take time to form a solid foundation. It will take time, but it's worth the investment because at the end of the day, when you have something intimate, it can last a longer time.